Set aside United States, there's a new key player in the Middle East, and it has sidelined the Biden administration from that big negotiation table. Iran and Saudi Arabia have reportedly made peace, and the catalyst for this historic event is none other than China. This remarkable turn of events is not just about two warring nations finally laying down their arms, it's also about the emergence of the new world order. But what does this peace mean for China? Is it goodwill or something sinister is at play? Join us as we find out. Let's recap what the fuss was all about. Let us take you on a journey through time to the complicated history of animosity between Iran and Saudi Arabia. This tangled web of conflict has its roots in the 1979 Iranian Revolution. You see, Saudi Arabia based its legitimacy on being an Islamic state, and the establishment of the Islamic Republic in Iran threatened the Saudi monarchy's dominance. As tensions simmered, Saudi Arabia decided to play the ultimate wingman and quietly supported Iraq during the Iran-Iraq War in the 1980s. As we fast forward to the late 1990s, there were glimmers of hope for reconciliation under Presidents Akbar Hashemi Rafsanjani and Mohammad Khatami. They tried to improve Iran's relations with its neighbors. But then entered Ahmadinejad in 2005, who put a halt to any peace talks with his hardline stance on foreign policy. The tension between the two nations further escalated in 2011 with the eruption of the Arab Spring. Shiite protests against the Sunni royal family in Bahrain sparked a war of words, and of course Saudi Arabia had to blame Iran for the unrest because why not add fuel to the fire? The situation seemed to reach a point of no return, with tensions escalating with each passing day. If you thought it couldn't get worse, hear this. In September 2015, tragedy struck. Hundreds of Iranians lost their lives in a stampede during the annual Hajj ritual in Saudi Arabia. This sparked another verbal slugfest, with Tehran throwing shade at Riyadh for mismanagement and Saudi officials throwing accusations at Iran for political opportunism in the aftermath of the disaster. Things got even worse in January 2016 when Saudi Arabia executed Shiite cleric Nimr al-Nimr. Protesters attacked the Saudi embassy in Tehran, prompting Riyadh to sever diplomatic ties with Iran. Protesters even attacked the Saudi embassy in Tehran, causing Riyadh to sever diplomatic ties with Iran faster than a hot knife through butter. But that was just the tip of the iceberg, you see. The tension between the two countries continued to escalate as Saudi Arabia opposed Iran's nuclear and ballistic missile advances. In 2018, Saudi Arabia even threatened to pursue nuclear weapons if Iran produced a bomb. And you'd think the matters won't escalate from there. Things really hit the fan in September 2019 when Saudi Arabia accused Iran of launching a drone and cruise missile attack on two major oil facilities. Iran, of course, denied any involvement in the attacks, but Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif warned that Tehran would respond to any US or Saudi retaliatory strike with all-out war. Finally, in 2021, there was a glimmer of hope for peace when Iran and Saudi Arabia began a sporadic dialogue mediated by Iraq, with Oman also facilitating diplomacy. But alas, after 5 rounds of talks between April 2021 and April 2022, Tehran and Riyadh failed to reach an agreement. Back to the drawing board, everyone. But in 2023, things started looking brighter. It was a moment that caught the world by surprise. After years of mutual animosity, suspected attacks, and espionage between Saudi Arabia and Iran, the two arch-rivals announced in March 2023 that they were restoring diplomatic relations. And brace yourselves, because it was none other than China that played matchmaker in this unlikely love story. The feud between Iran and Saudi Arabia was as old as time, with more twists and turns than a daytime soap opera. The leaders of both nations have been at each other's throats for years, exchanging barbs like a game of verbal ping pong. But just when it seemed like the animosity had reached its peak, China swooped in like a knight in shining armor to save the day. It's a diplomatic coup that has left the world stunned and scratching its head in disbelief. The announcement of the diplomatic breakthrough met seismic reactions across the Middle East, with some calling it a miracle on a par with turning water into wine. Others were more skeptical, noting that it was easier to find a unicorn than to broker peace between these two regional powers. But lo and behold, Iran and Saudi Arabia managed to put their differences aside and agreed to reopen their embassies in each other's capitals, Tehran and Riyadh, in May 2023. And that's not all. Moreover, they even dusted off the 1998 pact that aimed to boost cooperation in trade, investment, technology, and culture, as well as the Security Cooperation Agreement signed in 2001 to show that they really mean business. Who knows, maybe they'll even start trading falafel and hummus instead of missiles and insults. What moves is China making? They used to keep a low profile and just focus on their energy interests, but now they're getting all up in the region's business. Why? Well, their One Belt and Road initiative has been their golden ticket, and it's been a godsend for Iran, providing Iran with much-needed infrastructure investments, who's been under the thumb of US sanctions. But wait, there's more. China is also allies with Saudi Arabia, their biggest trading partner in the Middle East, and they're heavily invested in their Vision 2030 plan. It's all about diversifying the economy and reducing their reliance on oil revenue. Smart move, right? And here's where things get more interesting. In 2021, China and Iran signed a 25-year strategic partnership. Yes, you heard that right, 25 years. And if that wasn't enough, China is also playing the field with Saudi Arabia. They're basically like that one person who's juggling multiple partners and everyone knows it, but nobody wants to confront them. What does this peace mean for China? China's recent diplomatic achievements in brokering the agreement between Iran and Saudi Arabia has left the world in awe. The Chinese have not only proved their worth as a responsible global power, but they have also strengthened their position in the Middle East. With China's growing influence in the region, they've also become more attractive as an economic partner. The best part, China was able to maintain its classic gimmick of neutrality. By being neutral and non-interventionist, China has become the Switzerland of the Middle East, a place where both Iran and Saudi Arabia can come to the table and talk things out. As tensions continue to simmer in the region, China's focus on promoting regional stability has become more important than ever. With their Belt and Road initiative and significant investments in Iran and Saudi Arabia, China has a vested interest in keeping the peace in the Middle East, because quite obviously the instability in the Middle East could undermine China's economic interests. This newfound role as a peace broker has given China a significant amount of influence in the region, which it can use to its advantage in the future. Who knew that the once low-profile China would become the hero of the Middle East? What does this mean for the USA? The idea of China swooping in to mediate between Iran and Saudi Arabia has got the US feeling a bit uneasy. If China manages to successfully broker a peace agreement, it could mean bad news for the US's influence in the Middle East. You see, regional actors may start turning to China for assistance in resolving their conflicts, leaving the US out in the cold. And we all know that being left out in the cold is not a strategic place to be. If China does manage to mediate a peace agreement, it could mean that Iran and Saudi Arabia end up with stronger collective bargaining power in the global energy market. And that could spell trouble for the US's energy interests in the region. We're talking about potentially skyrocketing energy prices and even some drastic inflation in the US. The US may have to start rethinking its energy strategy in the face of this new reality. But it's not all bad for the US, because now it could finally have a chance to cut back on its military presence in the region, especially when the matters in Asia-Pacific are raging. Maybe they can finally redirect their attention towards more pressing matters like keeping an eye on China's rising power in the Asia-Pacific. Let's be honest, the US military has been in the Middle East for so long that they've probably memorized every sand dune by now. But in terms of achieving regional stability, it hasn't done much. What a time to be alive. Who knows, maybe we'll see a new world order where the US takes a back seat and China emerges as the global mediator. What do you think this peace means for the world? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Make sure to watch the next video.